אזרחי ישראל,
Citizens of Israel, we are at war, not in operation or in rounds, but at war.
Tonight, Israel declares war on Gaza after a surprise attack kills hundreds. More than 1,000 others are hurt.
The numbers are substantial, a very severe mourning.
U.S. lawmakers taking a stand to support the war-torn nation as President Joe Biden says Israel now facing a terrorist attack.
There's never justification for terrorist attacks.
Isn't that a shame what's happening all over the world? Things are not what they were just 3 years ago.
And as the assaults continue, Americans are speaking out.
We need peace. We need peace. We really need peace.
KOMU 8 News at 9 starts right now.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Tonight, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declaring war against Gaza. Good evening, everyone. I'm Avery Grosvenor. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. This comes after the Palestinian militant group launched a deadly missile attack this morning. Hundreds of people are dead in both countries as they continue to attack each other. NBC's Bree Jackson shows us how the devastation in the country is treating citizens there and how the U.S. is responding.
In a stunningly brazen assault, taking Israel by surprise.
לא בסבבים.
In response, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered strikes in Gaza, declaring his nation is in a war. President Biden weighing in, pledging unwavering support to Israel and sending a warning to adversaries.
Let me say this as clearly as I can. This is not a moment for any party hostile to Israel to exploit these attacks to seek advantage. The world is watching.
The bloodshed comes at a crucial time. The U.S. was working on a peace deal with Israel and Saudi Arabia that had been gaining momentum. Hamas leaders say this attack was a message to any Muslim country working on peace with Israel. Experts question why Israel was caught so off guard.
The kind of activities that would have had to precede Hamas's making these attacks should not have gone unnoticed.
The unprecedented violence coming during the height of a major Jewish holiday. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
In America, government officials and civilians are speaking up about the attacks. New York Governor Kathy Hochul says she is working with Israeli government officials to help U.S. citizens get home from the war-torn nation. American, United, and Delta Airlines canceled flights to Israel for today and tomorrow. Delta officials are working to safely transport American passengers back to the U.S. from the country. Israeli airports are also canceling their flights. Here in Missouri, lawmakers are speaking out on the conflict too. Governor Mike Parson posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying he and Missouri stands with Israel and the United States must do the same. He also says he supports their decision to retaliate against Palestine. Senator Eric Schmidt also saying he agrees Israel should defend itself. Also writing in a press release today, quote, "These brutal terrorist attacks have left dozens dead and hundreds wounded and were carried out by Iran-backed terrorist groups Hamas. Israel has every right to defend itself," end quote. There are reports of Hamas soldiers taking Israeli soldiers hostage along the country's borders. Jewish organizations across the U.S. are already raising funds to aid in Israelis' relief efforts. Two separate 6.3 magnitude earthquakes killed dozens of people in western Afghanistan today. The United Nations says more than 300 people are dead, but local officials say only around 100 people died while close to 500 more were injured. The World Health Organization in Afghanistan says it is sending 12 ambulances to the area for rescue efforts. Andrew. Okay, thanks, Andrew. Boaters braved the cold weather that Andrew was just talking about today to support keeping Missouri's waters clean. Paddlers made their way to the state capitol as part of Missouri's River Relief's Race to the Dome event. KMU's Isabella Roberts joins us in the studio after attending the race. Isabella?
Avery, this race is about protecting the environment. It started in two different locations and racers ended up here at Noren's Access in Jefferson City. Paddlers tell me this is the picture-perfect way to end the boating season. The cold weather didn't stop paddlers from showing up for the 14th annual Race to the Dome. Today's race was more of a beginner's course, allowing racers like Erica Swanberg to get her feet wet.
This is actually my first race, so I've never done this before. Something that looked interesting, and I wanted to give it a try.
Swanberg and other racers traveled 15.8 miles down the river from Hartsburg to Jefferson City.
It's a great event for people that are just starting out paddling on the river. We also do the Missouri River 340, but that's 340 miles, so this is a great beginner course if you're curious about it.
Organizers say storms brought Missouri River Relief's MR340 in August to a screeching halt mid-race.
The winds on the MR340 were crazy, and when the rains came and then it pushed all that debris into the river, that was when it got super dangerous.
Christy Kurtz says aside from the wind, today's weather was perfect to paddle.
Our goal is to keep our paddles moving, have a good time along the way.
Paddlers were excited to hop in what for many of them is the last race of the season.
340 did end a little early this year, so this is a great opportunity to come out here at the end of the race season and get one last race in before it gets too cold.
For Swanberg, it was a time to test herself.
I am excited. I want to prove to myself that I can do something like this and stay on the water and finish it.
And others were excited to see some wildlife.
Oh yeah, I love getting out on the river. I like seeing any wildlife. I'm hoping to see an eagle today. That's always a plus.
Paddlers from Hartsburg completed the race in about 2 hours. And for boaters coming from Providence, paddled 27 miles and completed the course in around 4 hours. Missouri River Relief's next river cleanup is on October 21st in Glasgow. In studio, Isabella Roberts, KOMU 8 News.
Okay, thanks Isabella. Coming up, see how one group is making a difference for postpartum mental health one step at a time. And later, Hawaii is opening up again for tourists. Why the state's government is saying that's a bad thing. Welcome back. It's the most wonderful time for fear, not cheer just yet, folks. If you're looking to get into the Halloween spirit, Columbia has all sorts of events for the rest of this month. Here's a quick look at what's coming up this week. Tomorrow morning, there is a Haunted Hounds 5K at Stevens Lake Park at 10 a.m. Wednesday through Sunday, Gunter Hands is hosting its 10th annual Oktoberfest. What's your favorite scary movie? We want to know. The Blue Note might be playing it. They're screening Scream this Thursday at 7 p.m. And next weekend, Hartsburg will be hosting their Pumpkin Festival from 9 to 5. You can find all these events and more throughout the month on our website. That's at KOMU.com. Mid-Missourians raised awareness today for pregnancy and postpartum mental health disorders. The Climb Out of the Darkness event is the world's largest event for this kind of treatment. They have regional events happening all over the world, but at Flat Branch Park here in mid-Missouri, people walked, did yoga, and made crafts to show their support. The event organizer says she hopes people who came out feel heard and seen.
It's important because then once you feel like, hey, I had the support, then if you know someone else who's going through it, you can ask the right questions and then you can offer support for people around you.
The proceeds help the organization's effort to train law enforcement, mentor peer supporters, and fund local groups. Next, after devastating wildfires, the island of Maui in Hawaii is opening back up to tourists. Hear why the local government says they need more time. Here's what's happening right now. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are warning police across the nation to stay vigilant to anti-Semitic attacks. The agency says they are worried the attacks in Israel will inspire domestic terrorism here in the U.S. They did add there is no current intelligence indicating a threat to the United States, though. Anti-Semitic threats remain one of the top types of threats the agency receives this year. The United Auto Workers strike is entering its 4th week after the union made a breakthrough on Friday. General Motors agreed to put workers at new electric vehicle battery plants under a new national and better contract. The agreement stopped the union from expanding the strike. The UAW is seeking pay raises of 36% over 4 years and other benefits. The union says Ford offered wage hikes of 23% over 4 years, with GM and Stellantis at about 20%. Following the aftermath of the deadly wildfires in Maui, tourists could possibly return to the island as soon as tomorrow, but the Maui County City Council is urging Governor Josh Green to postpone that opening. The council voted unanimously on a resolution urging the governor to wait. Residents say West Maui still needs time to heal and rebuild. The wildfires killed close to 100 people and more than 30 are still missing. Andrew. Well, hey, thanks, Andrew. We'll check back in. The Mizzou Tigers didn't have the day they wanted, losing 49-39 to Louisiana State. But despite the loss, thousands of football fans were in Columbia to show their Tiger pride for both teams. Fans from both teams poured into Faurot Field this morning. It was the first time Mizzou hosted the LSU Tigers since 2020. Back then, COVID protocols limited how many fans could watch in the stadium. Now, the Missouri Tigers played in front of a sold-out crowd. One LSU fan says college football games are more than just about rivalries.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we don't get the opportunity to play out very often. So it's really nice to see a new place and get to experience a new, different type of culture.
Mizzou's match against LSU today was the team's second SEC game. Next week, the Tigers take on the University of Kentucky. It was an eventful morning at Faurot Field today, as we just told you about. Tigers looking to stay undefeated. We've got more highlights from the LSU game next in sports. Here's what's coming up at 10. A teenager is dead after a knife attack on a New York City bus. Tonight at 10, how the city is responding. Andrew.
And here's one more look at your 8-day forecast. It's going to be pretty warm still, 73 degrees for Sunday. It's a bit of a change up, but then we drop back down to the mid-60s, kind of like what we saw today for Monday. And then we warm up gradually into the mid-70s for one more time on Wednesday, but then we have more chances of rain starting to come through our area, especially by Thursday night into Friday morning. And then those temperatures really start to cool down, and then by that point, it's the upper 50s.
All right, thanks for those weather updates, Andrew. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 10.